Welcome back to Warrington Basketball. Today's Coach's Corner is going to be about the key skills for a player to become successful. We are joined by Mr. Tom Truebrook from Northwich Jets, Matt Austin from St Helens, and Steve Welsh from Bridgewater Jets.
You know, we're not called Northwich Jets, so we haven't been for
Northwich Jets, Winsford Wolves. I'm very sorry. You change your name from season to season. It's hard to keep track. But yeah, gents, so key skills for a player to become successful. Matt, you are kicking us off. Go.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of skills I think individually players really need. I mean, essentially, I'd say ball skills were number one. Just because, you know, if you're looking at any of the best players, really, they're all able to sort of handle the ball. They're all able to do what they want with the ball. And if you can't really sort of dribble the ball, it's difficult to score unless you're an outstanding shooter. So I'd say ball skills are number one for me. I don't know what anyone else thinks, really.
Tom, Winston Wolves coach.
Yeah, I would say, Dom said this last night, the ball handling. I almost think ball handling, kids love to do it and people like to do it, but I'd say it's more knowing how to use the ball to attack. Like, there's loads of kids that will go through millions of different drills and they can cross over the ball 50 times, put it behind their back, do all of this. But if there's not a product, then it's not very useful. Like, it's like Steve's a really effective player in our men's league and in National League. I would say he's quite a good ball handler, but he can't really do anything creative with the ball. Realistically, he knows how to use his body to protect it, and then he'll attack with it. So rather than knowing about 50 different dribble moves, he's good at the one or two that he does, and like an attack and a counter.
I know 50 different dribble moves.
Is that not based more on Steve's IQ, his basketball IQ? So he might not be technically that gifted when it comes to dribbling, although I do think he can handle the ball, Steve. But
I know.
Yeah, he's clever when he's playing, isn't he? So that'll be more an IQ side of things, I'd have thought.
What do you think, Matt?
I mean, when we're coaching, so if you're coaching all these ball skills and what have you, I mean, it's great to coach all the ball skills at first, but when you're coaching them, I mean, you've got to teach them the kids to be direct with it. So, you know, it's no use having all the ball skills unless you're actually sort of direct with everything you do. So if you're attacking, retreating all the time, it's more effective if you're doing that rather than just sort of dribbling in front of someone. When we're coaching, like sort of one-on-one, two-on-two sort of thing, it's got to be breaking people down off the dribble. It's not just ball skills. So breaking a defender down off the dribble. You know, it's because it's great dribbling in front of people. You look good, but you're not really doing anything. Yeah. So what you were saying, Tom, I mean, you are right in that. But I do think ball skills are number one if we're saying, you know, you're going to be an effective player. You know, if you want to go somewhere, you're going to have an elite ball, elite ball skills to be able to get where you want to go.
Steve, what do you think?
I think with it depends on the sort of age of the player as well. So when you're like starting off, it's really, really important to be a well-rounded player. So obviously junior coaching, if you've got a player that's just one-dimensional that can only use, say, their right hand, it's quite easy to stop. And then it's harder to add skills on top of that if the player can only use one hand. So I think for me, at kind of juniors, it's kind of working on the ability to use both hands so they can finish left, finish right, dribble left. And then when they get to sort of older, when they're looking to go off to another, say, post-18 colleges or anything like that, you're looking at like a super skill. So the ability to shoot the ball kind of transpires quite well up the kind of the higher the level you get, if you're a really good shooter, that doesn't change. There's always going to be players who are faster, taller, stronger, but the ability to shoot, I think, would be mine when they get to an older age.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, shooting was what I wrote down last night when you said this is what we were going to do. Especially the way the game's going, like European-wise, and if you go to like the regional tournaments and the England tournaments, if you can't shoot the ball, you're not going to play it at the next level up. I think like what Matt and Dom have done with likes of Finn and Ellis, who are going obviously to a higher level, is expanded their range, so they're not just catch it in the basket, finish, catch the basket, finish. They're trying to extend their range out, and I think shooting is key. But as Steve's robbed that one, I would say the key skill that one of the key skills that me and Dom and Lewis helping we've discussed in the past is the desire to compete and to improve off the court and when you're not in games. So I think a lot of the kids are really good when they're in a game, and it's like, oh, it's a game, I'm going to go flat out, I'm going to go really hard, I'm putting loads into it. But what are they doing outside of the game to get better?
Yeah.
Like, and how are they taking feedback? Are they working on, like Steve says, weaknesses? Are we going, right, I can't do that. Am I just going to go do something like that I'm not comfortable with and improve on it? Or I'm going to continue to stick to what I'm doing, even if it fails, because that's what I'm comfortable with.
Do you think there's a lack of that now, that desire? Like back in the day, so if you use Jamal, for example, Jamal probably wasn't as technically gifted as some of the guys that we've had through since, but because he worked hard and obviously made an effort to try and put himself in opportunities, I think he's probably progressed really well off that.
I think
so.
Yeah,
I think he's got older brothers and cousins that he's he's always been the baby, hasn't he? So he's always been having to step up. So that's kind of drilled into him from an early age. You know, when they scrimmage and stuff amongst themselves, it sometimes turns out into nearly a full-blown fight because obviously that's how hard they're going at each other. I think opportunities to play now, there's more opportunities to play. So players might get a little bit more complacent about there's opportunities for me to play now anyway. Whereas back when Jamal was, there was less around, so he might have to work a little bit harder. Yeah.
Matt?
I mean, going back to Steve's points about the shooting, I mean, my dad will kill me if I don't mention it, but like shootings is massive, like at a higher level. Shooting at a lower level, I mean, up to sort of under 14s, it's not really as important just because a lot of kids haven't got the strength to shoot at that age. So you get into the basketball skills at that age. As you get a bit older, under 16s, under 18s, men's, like if you can shoot, I mean, you can play at any level. It just allows you to get anywhere. You could just be a spot-up shooter and not dribble a ball to you know, at certain levels, you know, and sit on the bench sometime. You know, obviously it's not the best. It's not the best to just sit on a bench and come on and shoot and go off again. But if you can shoot, you can play at any level. But as Tom was saying as well, the importance of like kids working hard off the court. You know, we've got kids, you know, at St Helens here, at Ormskirk St Helens here, where, you know, they're working all the time, every day. You know, even in the lockdown here, you know, some of the kids, you know, they're asking us to do individual workouts with them. You know, they're sending us, you know, videos of what, you know, what can I do? What can I do? Can I do this? They're calling us or messaging us. You know, it's not all the kids, but some of the kids, you know, are like that. And you can see the progression that they have. Like one of our kids last year, Rida works, you know, he wasn't really even on, you know, if we had like a 12-man first team, you know, he wouldn't even have been on it. But towards the end of the season, you know, he's probably 6th, 7th man, just because he works so hard. He's so determined to work hard that, you know, nothing's going to stop him. You know, and what if we say no? it's only gonna spur him on. There's a couple of kids like that, I think, and if kids are out there working hard by themselves, they're gonna get what they want to get, really, whether they've got the physical attributes or not. Another player like Sean Gates, they were in Carmel just playing basketball every day, and just going at each other, fighting. Obviously they weren't fighting fist, punching each other's head in, but they were virtually scrapping when they were playing. So they were just working hard, all the time.
I think it makes a big difference. I think it makes massive difference. Steve, what would you say?
Yeah, I think having, obviously, the motivation to work on your own is a big skill as well. It's key to getting better. You've got to want the best for yourself as well, whether that be putting yourself in that position. So obviously at Carmel, it's a college that a lot of kids are going to. The environment at Carmel seems to be fight or flight. So you've got a lot of kids who want the same sort of thing. So when you've got a training session, the kids can all go at each other. And then it just creates an environment for people to learn. I think that's it really. A good environment to learn is going at each other, finding someone of a similar skill level, and then just working with that person and like competing. Say you wanted to work on shooting, you could pick. Say you're on a team and you got the best shooter in the gym, you could do like 10 minutes before each session. You might work out with them, just do some shots. Say first to make 10 or best of 10, and then loser runs or something. But you can just go at, always trying to level up against someone who's better than you, if possible.
Where would you think listening to coach would rank? So, I mean, being coachable.
Yeah, I think being coachable is important, but then it's also being independently minded and learning from other players and things. One of the things I think that really good players do is they'll see what other players do and they steal it. Like we've got a guy, Ainsley Ellis, who comes down to our men's scrimmage on a Sunday, and some of our kids, our more talented kids, have just stolen some of his moves. He'll do a really good jump through and then finish. He's got some skills of attacking the basket. They've watched him and played against him over weeks, and then they'll speak to him. He'll break it down and they'll go, right, this is something I can do. So it's working with other players and coaches. I think one of the things about coachability is I think it's really good to get people exposed to lots of different voices. So we've got kids that will go to Cheshire Phoenix, kids that will go to Cheshire Wire, kids that will, like next year, I think we'll have a kid that will go to Carmel for it, first time on it. Being exposed to multiple voices is really important in terms of different ways of doing things. You don't have to agree with that, what every coach says, but it might not be the right way for you to be successful. But that will help you in the long run.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that what Tom said there in regards to sort of different voices. I mean, we're quite successful at St Helens and Carmel just because, there's me and Dominic. We're totally different people, totally different. We go about things totally differently, but we always want the same goal. So, I might say something with a different perspective, and those different perspectives are really important for kids because, they're going to take things in differently. But in regards to sort of coaching, I think coaches have to set the environment for that competitiveness. You have to set the environment because the kids can just come in and play and what have you, and there's no standards for them there. But you've got to set the standard. You have to set the standard straight away, so that they are competing. They know what is expected of them. They know what they can do once they've sort of been there for a while, and all the other kids can then set the older kids can then set the standard down for kids coming in as well.
Yeah, I think if obviously you set the standard from the beginning, and then obviously make sure that you align in the goals So the kids might have a slightly different goal to what you have, but once you've kind of aligned them, you can all work towards where you want to be at. I think another one probably is making sure the players know why they're doing something, instead of just you catch the ball on the wing, you're going to pump fake and then drive right. Like, why are they driving right? They, like, some players wouldn't try and find the understanding behind it. Well, actually, you pump faking the ball to get the defender up in the air, so you've got space to go behind them. A lot of players don't tend to ask questions on why they're doing stuff now. They tend to, obviously, the better players do. So the more questions to ask and understand why they're doing something would be another thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about getting the players to take autonomy of their learning and improvement. And if you do that, like, the system is great, but you don't want players that are just system players. Like, I know if I turn up to this session, I have to work hard and I have to do that. But, you know, the other 100 hours of the week, you're not going to be doing that. It's, if you haven't got the ownership of it yourself, you're not going to do well. Obviously, I work in a college, and the kids have only got 4 hours of contact with their teachers in each subject a week. But I know those kids go and work hard for another 15 hours, and that's why they get some of the best grades in the country, in it. That's why they're successful in that. That moves on to basketball. It's the same attitude. We're not going to have, with the best will of the world, all of the contact time with the kids. It's what they're doing. Are they going, like, to the park? Are they shooting? Are they working on skills? They're doing one-on-one, or are they just chilling out and enjoying the sunshine? It's that thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think.
Right, gents. Go on, Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that I was going to say, sort of at certain levels, I think the skills that you want to sort of be teaching do change. So I mean, at basic level, I don't think anyone sort of mentioned sort of footwork. That's, you know, for a basic level, you know, young kids, that's extremely important, because it's not only basketball we're teaching them for at that level. You know, if you're teaching sort of primary school or a little bit older, footwork's massive, because it translates to all sports. If kids play multiple number of sports and not just basketball, so you can see how different they are as a player when they play basketball, because sometimes these kids who play multiple sports are much better.
Yeah, catching skills the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, all those things. And what Tom was saying as well about being coachable, that's also at a younger level. That's great. I think you've got to have your own initiative a lot of the time as well as a player. As you get to an elite level, you have to be coachable, because coaches are just going to throw things at you, and you're going to have to just do it anyway, like whether you like it or not. I mean, you're going to have to. That's just, I think, at an elite level, I think it does change.
Yeah, me and a friend went to meet with John Amici, and he was showing us his Orlando Magic playbook, and it was about, 3 inches thick of plays that they needed to learn just on their offensive things before they even got into the defensive stuff they need to do for each individual team. So if you're not willing to absorb information and listen, you're not going to be close to that level. What you say?
Tom, sorry, I should have maybe asked at the beginning. Your background, who is the chubby, red-faced ginger kid?
Oh, that's one of our point guards from when we used to be called Northwich Jets.
Yeah.
Don't call us now. He wanted to be on the call today, but unfortunately he can't really get up this early in the morning, can he, Matt?
Well, I don't think so, no. He's otherwise engaged, I think.
Is it Don O'Neill, is it?
It's Dominic O'Neill.
Yeah. I didn't recognise him at all.
No. Well, it's young and thin there, doesn't he? So, before we wrap up, the next topic is going to be Invaders versus Bridgewater Jets Red. If they were to play a game now, who we think would win, and we're going to break that down a little bit and go into that. Are you guys, or have you all got time for that?
Yeah, so I'd like Louis Farish versus the likes of Jacob Rothwell and all that sort of thing. Mike Holes.
Yes, correct. Steve, obviously you'll have you'll know a bit about that as well,
I'll
won't
have a bit of insight on that, yeah.
Good. Oh no, sorry, we are going to have to wrap it up with the Zoom calls being at 40 minutes max. So we will have to maybe leave that for another episode. But thank you all very much for joining. We will get on again. Anyone that wants to be on the Coach's Corner, please get in touch and we will get you on. If you have any specific topics as well that you want us to talk about, then please comment below. Gents, thanks very much for coming. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much, Josh.
No worries.